Hey y'all, welcome back. Up in here. Hey, today we're checking out 7 ways UK and USA cars are really different.
Hi and welcome back to the Girl Gun London channel.
Hey.
Today we're covering UK versus USA cars. If you've ever been on a road trip in the United States, you'll know that you are zooming down a highway that looks like it was drawn with a ruler. You can go for an hour without needing to turn the wheel more than a few degrees.
It's true.
There's space everywhere, massive shoulders on every side, and lane widths that feel like aircraft runways, and actually, sometimes they can use it as that. Cities aren't clustered tightly together, they sprawl. And
Y'all, sometimes a plane has to make an emergency landing and they land on the street.
They can use it as that. Cities aren't clustered tightly together, they sprawl. And even small towns are spread out enough that you've got to drive to the store. Now, when we're talking about the UK, we're talking about British country roads. Lanes that are barely wide enough for a medium-sized car. There are hedge walls and bends where you can't see what's coming. British roads are old, built in eras when carts, horses, and people walking were the only things traffic planners had to think about. These two very different canvases shaped the cars that now ride on them. America's roads encourage bulk, comfort, and long-distance cruising. Britain's roads encourage compact cars, agility, and precision. Now, again, because America has such immense
fuel efficiency is a good thing too.
Road space and long stretches of travel, American cars grew larger. And once they started getting larger, people's expectations grew along with them. Sometimes when British people step inside a typical American car, you feel like you've stepped into a house. There are big seats that feel like sofas, wide dashboards, deep cup holders, multiple cup holders. The ride itself tends to be quiet and soft, soaking up bumps rather than reporting them back to the driver. The whole experience is designed around the idea of comfort, and the engines follow that same logic. America grew up with big V6 and V8 engines because fuel was cheap and space was abundant. A V8 in the US isn't a wild luxury. And then you've got pickup trucks. Pickup trucks are another part of the American identity.
Hang on. So I knew that American cars were bigger. I knew that. I feel like that's common knowledge. But I didn't know they were smoother or had bigger engines. I guess that makes sense. They're bigger overall. And they're made for longer distances. That makes sense. I just didn't think about that. I thought they were bigger just because we like big cars. And I thought British cars were smaller because of fuel prices. You don't have to, parking, maybe? I live in Los Angeles, and I feel like that's not a typical cross-section of American cars, because I recently, a few days ago, saw a Ford F-150 just like this, very much like this with the extended cab, and I was surprised because I hadn't seen one in so long, and I almost took a picture of it, but then I thought, no, that's stupid. Why take a picture of it? You just don't see them that often in Los Angeles because a lot of parking in Los Angeles is street parking, so it's better to have a smaller car, and you will see trucks like that around, but they're usually work trucks like landscapers or plumbers or construction workers, and they're usually kind of beat up and old, but seeing a big, nice, new Ford F-150 is pretty rare. I will say, though, when you go to the southeast or pretty much anywhere out away from a big city, you see mostly trucks. I think. Mostly SUVs, actually. But a lot of trucks, big SUVs, and then a few just tiny little cars.
Engines follow that same logic. America grew up with big V6 and V8 engines because fuel was cheap and space was abundant. A V8 in the US isn't a wild luxury. And then you've got pickup trucks. Pickup trucks are another part of the American identity.
Here we go.
Not only are they practical for people who genuinely need them, but they've also become symbols of independence and strength and the wide open American spirit. An American pickup truck looks absurdly massive to British eyes, but I promise you, on American roads, they fit in naturally.
Yeah.
Now, while American cars became huge, British cars didn't evolve like that. Because British roads were narrow and twisty, British cars became small and highly responsive. Everything is closer, everything is tighter, and it's designed to maximize space inside while minimizing space outside. British cars have to slip into small parking spaces. They have to navigate roundabouts, dart between parked cars, and manage.
I mean, while she's talking, I am seeing a lot of trucks on this road, but they're not like pickup trucks. They're like, I see a bus. I see like that looks like a garbage truck. I saw like a construction truck a minute ago, or like something that's hauling something. But yeah, those tiny little country roads, a smaller car would be really advantageous. I can't imagine some of these pickup trucks. I'm sure there are places you can't go with those in Britain, right?
Parking spaces. They have to navigate roundabouts, dart between parked cars, and manage roads that suddenly went from 2 lanes to 1 with 0 warning. They have to react quickly. They have to accelerate efficiently and brake sharply. Engines reflect this sense of purpose. Where Americans go big, Brits go efficient. A British engine doesn't need to tow a boat or rocket down a motorway for 8 hours. It needs to deliver solid performance without burning through a paycheck in fuel. Because British petrol prices are higher than in America, efficiency isn't an afterthought. It's central to the design. This led to the huge popularity of small petrol engines, turbocharged motors, and for many years, diesel cars that could travel absurd distances on small amounts of fuel. But it's not all practicality. Britain also has a passion for spirited driving on winding country roads. That's why so many legendary sports cars come from the UK. From the classic Mini that could corner like a go-kart, to Lotus models designed around pure handling, to the Aston Martin that combines elegance with supercar.
I love driving a Mini. The one I drove, I rented one for like a week because there was a special. I used to work for a car company, and this rental company gave us special deals, and you could rent a car for a week for like really, really cheap. So I rented a Mini, and I really loved the way the cabin felt. But what I didn't like was that it was the first car I ever drove where the engine shuts off whenever you stop at a traffic light. I didn't like that. Other than that, it was really fun to drive.
Engineering to the Aston Martin that combines elegance with supercar. British engineering loves the idea of a car that feels alive. And the driving cultures also differ because in the US, driving is often laid back. You merge onto a highway, you set cruise control, and you settle in. Automatic transmissions dominate. So completely, in fact, that many Americans, including myself, never even used to drive a manual, or what we would call in the States, stick shift.
Yeah. Okay. So I learned to drive on a automatic. I've only ever had automatic cars, but I have been in situations where I had to drive a stick shift, in particularly a Jeep Wrangler. I had to drive it was stick shift, and I stalled out a few times, but it was fun. When I did get the clutch right and everything, it was fun. There was something about it that felt more like I was a part of the driving. But I did stall out several times, and my friends were in the car with me and they made fun of me.
Never even used to drive a manual, or what we would call in the States, stick shift. The average American commute is about navigating predictable, wide, straight roads. In the UK, driving is a more hands-on experience. You're constantly involved. You're checking your mirrors, you're shifting gears, you're watching for cyclists, you're handling tight curves, you're navigating roundabouts. A manual transmission gives the driver more control in these situations, and for decades, it was simply what people drove.
Yeah, that's another thing I liked about the manual, is I felt like when I went back to driving the automatic, it was a little frustrating because the automatic shifting, like, it wouldn't shift when I wanted it to. So it felt like there was a lag at times, and other times it felt like it shifted too soon, you know? Yeah, I like the control of shifting about
or
that.
more control in these situations,
Control.
and for decades, it was simply what people drove. Now, fuel is one of those reasons we've talked about where American and British cars diverge. Americans often react with disbelief when they hear the price of fuel in the UK. The differences are so extreme that what an American pays for a full tank might buy a British driver about a quarter of this single.
Yeah, speaking of Los Angeles specifically again, the gas in California is really expensive because of taxes. Even though, there's probably oil in the ground where I'm sitting.
Pays for a full tank might buy a British driver about a quarter. This single factor pushes British drivers towards smaller engines and hybrid technology. Filling up a large American SUV in the UK would feel like setting fire to money. Meanwhile, America's lower fuel prices allow drivers to enjoy large engines without feeling punished at the pump. Fuel prices don't just influence what people buy. They influence how people drive, how manufacturers design cars, and how governments regulate the road.
I think in the short term, we like our cheap gas, but in the long term, if you have a big truck like that, right now, our gas prices are going up and people are feeling the burn. People are paying hundreds of dollars a week so that they can just commute to work. My dream would be to have an electric car, fully electric, so there's just one drivetrain to worry about, lower maintenance, and have a garage with solar panels on it, and just charge the car with solar panels. Solar's getting cheaper and cheaper. I don't think it's quite there yet. I still think you have to take out a loan to buy solar panels. It's not totally cost effective, but that would be the way to go, right? And I know you could argue electric cars use lithium and that's a rare blah, 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 the mines and but I still think it's the way to go compared to gas.
How people drive, how manufacturers design cars, and how governments regulate the road. Now, American car culture is big, bold, and expressive. Cars are often a statement, a symbol of independence, strength, income, or personal style. Custom modifications are common. People lift trucks, they tint windows, they install loud exhaust, and they generally treat the car as an extension of identity. In the UK, car culture, for those who appreciate it, tends to focus more on the joy of driving itself.
Some of these customizations get out of control. Like giant fins on cars that just don't need it. Like I love seeing like a little, what would it be? Like a Honda Civic with a giant spoiler. I mean, these look kind of nice, but trashy Honda Civic. Well, not really seeing any images of it, but here. Like this is like these kinds of customizations, but on some crappy car. Giant spoilers, lowered suspension. People get into that stuff, and it's sometimes pretty hilarious.
British drivers talk about handling. They care about how a car feels on the road, how it corners, how it responds, how it fits into their environment. Even the choice of car is often more modest or more practical, with bursts of passion reserved for weekend drives or classic car events. And of course, the UK has a strong heritage in motorsport and performance engineering. Formula One teams are heavily based in Britain. The culture appreciates precision over just raw muscle. Now let's talk about weather. America deals with...
Yeah. I drive a 2014 Hyundai Elantra Coupe. That's the car I drive. 2-door, pretty fuel efficient, not expensive, 2.0 liter, 4-cylinder engine, and it's pretty sluggish. It's not a great drive. It gets me where I'm going. I drive like once every 6 weeks to 2 months. I don't know why I'm sharing you with that. These are my car experiences, y'all. I don't know.
Formula One teams are heavily based in Britain. The culture appreciates precision over just raw muscle. Now let's talk about weather. America deals with everything from Arctic level snow to desert.
I didn't think of that.
This shapes regional demands that shape vehicle design.
That's a good reason to have a truck. I gotta say, I lived in New Jersey, and when I lived in New Jersey, I was driving a 1992 Honda. It's like the most common Honda, not a Civic. Oh my God, what was it? Why can't I remember? Accord, Honda Accord, a 92 Honda Accord. And in the snow, I got stuck on the side of the highway in the snow. I had a lot of issues with that car in the snow. I love the car, but if I had a truck, there would be no issue, you know?
Snow to desert heat. This shapes regional demands that shape vehicle design. States with heavy snow lean towards SUVs and all-wheel drive. Rural areas lean towards trucks because drivers actually need them for work. Hot climates influence cooling systems and interior materials. Britain's weather is milder and wetter. Rain shapes driving habits more than anything else. Cars need excellent visibility, dependable wipers, and tires that will grip on slick tarmac.
Right.
Now, both the US and the UK are...
Yeah, the rain. I lived in Florida, and the rain, it rains a lot there. And yeah, hydroplaning, when you're driving and there's a puddle or the road's wet, and you can feel the car kind of on top of the water like you're not gripping the road, that's a scary feeling. You feel like you're out of control. So I bet you would want a car with like a really low center of gravity. Yeah. Yeah.
Dependable wipers, and tires that will grip on slick tarmac. Now, both the US and the UK are adopting electric vehicles, but the motivations differ. America's electric vehicle momentum grew from Silicon Valley, while the UK's push is more about regulation and the practicality of electric cars in shorter daily commutes. I definitely have lots of British people...
What does she mean like Silicon Valley? Like the technology of it is what makes people want it? I don't know. Y'all, the car company I used to work at was Tesla. I have no affiliation. I never met Elon. I do not support his political endeavors. I was into the green side of it. I was into the no gas, better future, better, let's stop putting gas fumes in the air. That was my slant on it. But I guess she's saying most Americans are into it because of the technology. I mean, relative to Britain, I could see that. I don't know. If she says that's what it is, I believe her. I don't know.
While the UK's push is more about regulation and the practicality of electric cars in shorter daily commutes. I definitely have lots of British people comment to me about the size of American cars, and I certainly apologize for my driving skills to people around me in the UK because I still haven't figured out how to park quite as efficiently as them, but I'm getting there. That brings me to the end of this video. As always, leave your comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Huh. Y'all be sure to go to Girl Gone London and like and subscribe. Look at this beautiful sunset B-roll in a car. That's nice. I just wonder.
The difference between UK and US car culture is shocking. We're paying like £1.50 a litre. Meanwhile, in the States, $3 gets you a gallon. That's like a third of the price. We pay road tax every year. So a C63 costs £700 just to be on the road. Oh, and if you're a young driver in the UK, £3 gets you insured on a 1 litre EcoBoost. Whilst that same amount of money gets a 17-year-old insured on a Mustang. Then we got size. Our roads barely fit hatchbacks. Whilst in America, driving a small car is asking to be crushed. And our parking spaces mean you gotta squeeze out the door. Well, I guess it's the same for Americans. The difference between UK and US car culture is shocking.
Okay. A little dig at our obesity epidemic. That's cool. That's cool.
This is the average size of an American car, and this is the average size of a British car. Comparatively, look at how different they really are. This is the age where it is legal to drive in America.
16.
And this is the age it is legal to drive in England.
17.
I don't like the thought of a 16-year-old being on the road, personally. Especially considering this is the amount of hours that Americans are required to drive before they take their test. 6 hours with a paid instructor. 30 hours optionally with a parent. 6 hours is all they require. Average amount of lessons hour-wise in England is 45 hours paid from an instructor.
Wow.
6 hours versus 45 hours. This is the steering wheel in America. It is on the left side of the car. And this is the steering wheel in England. It is on the right side of the car. This is the side of the road that us British people drive on. This is the side of the road that Americans drive on. Which side of the road do you think is the right way? This is the average size of an American car. And
She's confusing the words right with right.
I think we might be on the wrong side of the road here in the UK compared to America.
What?
Here is the top 4 differences between driving in the US and the UK. Number 1, turning right on red. It's a game changer. We need this in the UK, but for the left.
Yeah.
Number 2, the roads in the US. They're just better. Wide, smooth, and made for cruising. But coming back to the UK, our roads are more like obstacle courses. Number 3, the automatic gearbox. Sure, it's convenient, but after a while, it's just boring. And number 4,
Well,
the
we all
downside,
have that, right?
freeways. American freeways are chaotic, to say the least. Undertaking, cutting you off, it's every driver for themselves.
Yep.
At least here in the UK, we've got a bit more courtesy on the road. So there you have it. What do you think?
Why don't Europeans buy American cars?
Look at
Here's
that.
why. For starters, the roads in Europe are much narrower, especially in older cities where infrastructure wasn't built with massive vehicles in mind. A full-size American pickup just isn't practical for tight streets and small parking spaces. Then there's fuel efficiency. Gas is way more expensive in Europe, and big trucks with large engines tend to guzzle fuel, which is why they prefer smaller, more fuel-efficient vehicles. On top of that, many American cars don't meet the strict emissions and safety regulations set by the EU. Importing them can require costly modifications or certifications. And lastly, bigger cars and engines usually come with higher emissions penalties and more costly insurance. Why don't Europeans buy American cars? Here's
That's okay. They're bringing up some other issues that Girl Gone London didn't. The insurance, and yet seeing a giant truck on a European road like that is ridiculous.
We are same, but different. We are same, but different.
Oh, one of my videos popped up, y'all, from 9 months ago. Look at that. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, a lot of it comes down to just what we have around us, right? Like our resources, the gas, the roads that we drive on, the distances we drive, you know? So no, I don't think one way is better than the other. I'm sure people in the comments will argue that. It's just kind of what you have, right? It's what's around you. Resources. We're all the same, y'all, but also very different. Well, I'd like to thank my patrons. I'd like to thank my Buy Me a Coffee folks. Thank y'all for watching this with me, and I'll see y'all next time.